at the Table. I'm Rachel and I'm here with my friend Shona.
Yes, I'm here today.
You are. And our theme is around friendship today. So we're going to be discussing a few things around that. Why is she complaining? Also, we've got our good friend Gia in the kitchen with Oliver Moses. Yep, and we've got Colette talking about well-being. But the first thing we want to talk about in relation to friendship is helping our kids make friends. And in particular, I guess there are some kids that make friends really easily and there are some that probably need a little bit more help. Is that something that you did or had trouble with your kids at school?
Look at this. Do you think my children had a problem making friends? No, I had a problem trying to keep them away from people.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Look, I think one of the problems one of my boys did have was he makes friends with girls very easily and he didn't make a lot of male friends. So I think that was probably where he struggled.
Okay.
And people found that odd.
I was going to say, did you feel any judgment from other parents?
Yeah, from other parents.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Not from teachers, they weren't concerned at all?
No.
My third daughter tends to sort of gravitate and make friends with the boys in her class more than the girls. And at first I was like, should there be a balance here? But
I think there should. I think you should try and encourage a balance, and we always did that. We always tried to make sure that he had male friends as well as female friends. But I think, look, if your children don't have a problem with making friends, then why make an issue out of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the case for one of my other daughters is that she's in a year with a lot of strong girls and she's one of them. So I'm not blind to that. And so those friendships sort of have ebbed and flowed a fair bit. And that's been a real issue for her coming home and talking about that. And that's the thing, we do talk about that. We sit down and we say, what happened today? Why do we think that happened?
Yeah.
Just to make sure that she always knows, hang on, this isn't you, this is life circumstances. Everyone's sort of bringing stuff to the table, problems to the table, and then reacting at school.
And then you had a problem, I think, last year or so where one of your daughters wasn't being very social and you dropped the homework so that she could spend...
She was having a lot of problems, I guess, with some of the kids in her class. And I spoke to the teacher about it and I said, look, I want to drop the homework. We just want to focus on her mental health, her emotional health, and her handling some of these situations in classes. And looking back, I actually don't regret that.
Right.
I actually feel that was a good decision for her. I'm not saying it is in every circumstance, but I think now that she's sort of settled, she's academically it's now starting to move on and catch up.
And she's now got good friendships built. And
they're definitely becoming more solid and the girls are settling. And I think, that's just par for the course, and as parents, we all go through that. But if you have a child that's going through that, you are welcome to jump onto our Facebook group. It's a private page on Facebook. There's a heap of mums out there willing to give you ideas and support. We would love to have a chat to you there.
COVID-19 has seen the lockdown of many countries across the globe and people practising self-isolation and social distancing. And it's not normal. So we find ourselves getting into a state mentally.
Yes.
How can we, in this time, manage our mental health?
I think it's important that you say it's not normal, because it's important to normalise the anxiety and the stress we feel. It's our body's brilliant way and our brain's brilliant way of keeping us safe. So it's kind of like an alarm system that says we need to do things to keep ourselves healthy. Right. But it's when that alarm system is a bit faulty that we need to make sure that we're reaching out to our GPs or mental health professionals to help us get it under control.
And how can we recognise if that alarm system's going off too long?
I think it's when we can't use any of our day-to-day strategies to get it under control on our own, and we're noticing that we're feeling depressed for long periods of time or anxious, heightened anxiety for long periods of time, that we can't settle, we're agitated, our families are noticing. It's important we reach out. But we need to also recognise for many people, they're going to be experiencing anxiety that they haven't had before, because they've had weddings cancelled, they've had funerals cancelled, they can't grieve adequately in the way they had wanted to. Sports events are cancelled for children. So there's a lot of things that have been taken away from us, that even people's jobs, people have been stood down. And so this brings about a form of stress and anxiety.
Yes, yes.
I always say go back to the basics. Are you eating well? Are you eating healthily? Are you drinking water? Something I've got to practice and remind myself to do. Are you getting out and exercising? I'm doing online Pilates classes at the moment. I never imagined I'd do exercise online, but it's good for my head. And so it's really looking at some of those things. But then also there's a bunch of strategies we can do that we use in therapy. We actually use the letters FACE.
Right.
And this is when there's anything uncertain in the world or unpredictable. So really, we use the letters FACE, and the F is focusing on what you have in your control.
Okay.
So what can you control? I can control washing my hands. I can control when I exercise. I can control not looking at all the news so many times a day because that raises my anxiety levels. The A would be acknowledging your thoughts and feelings. So I'm feeling anxious or angry or stressed. I'm human. It's okay to feel those things. Then it's coming back into your own body, and that is where we practice mindfulness.
Right.
So not just acknowledging what you feel, but getting out and noticing creation.
Being present, still
Yes.
being present, yeah.
Absolutely. Noticing what you have, what you can be grateful for, the things that are around you. And then the E is engaging in what you're doing.
Right.
So fully engage in yourself in the things you love doing. Your family members, engage purposefully with them at some times. Have virtual coffee dates with people.
Yes.
I have to say as well, the government has started this amazing initiative where they've provided access to telehealth.
Okay.
So if you are struggling, please get hold of your GP or your mental health professional. There's telehealth available and many people are bulk billing. Reach out for help.
Very important. I think a lot of us need to be reminded that this isn't normal, but there is help available if you do feel that you're in a rut. And practice these tips. Keep it subscribed to hear Mums at the Table for more tips from Colette and more information to help you get through this challenging time.
Okay, here's a tricky one for you today, Rachel. We're talking about friendships.
Yep.
Have you ever, or are you experiencing, where your children have been separated from their best friends and they end up in tears or don't want to go to school or feel sick all the time because they're not in class with their friends?
Yeah, absolutely. My eldest daughter has been blessed in that since kindy. She's been with her best friend, and now that they're sort of heading into year 5, this is the first time they're in a different classroom together. And normally we only find out like a week before school starts. I was so grateful they did it different, and we found out at the end of last year because I knew that would give her some time to get used to that, because they're the sweetest of friends, you know, the little friendship that's never had a fight. They're really quite darlings, and they've been really upset.
Right.
Yeah.
So have you done anything to mitigate this whole separation anxiety thing that's going on?
Look, if there was an urgent issue, I'd go and talk to the school. It's not. It's a separation, and you know, I guess the word resilience comes up and all of that. And look, this is part life. Like, this is some of the steps we have to go through. This is part of the journey that we all have to experience. Things don't always go our way. And so it's just walking her through that. And you know, it's still pretty challenging. She'll often say to me, I really miss, you know, her being in class with me. And so her mum and I have made an effort to make sure outside of school we can help keep that connection going.
Look, I have a lovely incident where our eldest was going to school with a little boy, and they were the best of friends, like inseparable. You couldn't get them apart. School holidays, you know, after school, weekends, they were always together. And then at about year 1, we moved the boys out of school, and now they're actually looking, you know, they're 21 and 22, they're now looking at moving in together again.
Oh, really?
So they come back together again and refriended each other and have a really good bond. It's almost like they've never left each other. So you can do it. You just have to be intentional.
Help our kids weather these storms. And I guess they're a big deal to our kids. And as parents, it's easy for us to sort of shrug it off and go, oh, you know, maybe next year you'll be together, or you'll be fine, you'll make other friends. But it is a big deal to them.
Be intentional about it. Yeah.
So, yeah, I do talk to other mums, and I think it's just an opportunity to also go, hang on, who else is in this class? Because there are really lovely people everywhere. Let's not miss out on even more friendships and sort of foster those. But if you have a child that's going through that, you are welcome to jump onto our Facebook group. It's a private page on Facebook. There's a heap of mums out there willing to give you ideas and support. We would love to have a chat to you there.
Hi everyone, today we're making Hashbrown Haystacks.
We are making Hashbrown Haystacks. We're going to show you an easy way to make them. I saw this on Minimalist Baker and I loved it, and I think it's great for lunch boxes, and it's a comfort food for that colder weather. So what we need is potatoes, and all I've done with the potatoes, that's why they call them haystack potatoes. Yep, because it looks like hay, doesn't it? Does it look like hay? So what it is, all it is potatoes, and what I've used is a food processor, and I've just grated it in the food processor so that I didn't have to do it myself. So we put it all in there. It's a very easy recipe. Now, they will be a little bit wet, which is fine because we're going to use arrowroot or a cornstarch corn flour to pick up all that dampness, and corn, which I love corn in my hash browns because corn just gives it that little bit of sweetness. And we've got some nut butter. So this is just a Nuttalex or just a butter that's dairy-free I use.
Daddy.
Shallots. Yep, go.
Yesterday, Daddy had butter in the microwave and it exploded.
Did it? Oh my goodness. I didn't know that. So we got some parsley. We've put some shallots in there, a little bit of parsley. Don't want to put too much in there. And we got some black pepper and a touch of salt. Let's get some more salt in there. So we'll just mix it through. I'm going to use my hands. Do you mind? Do you mind if I use my hands? Okay, and then I'll use about 1/4 of a cup in a muffin tin. So you've got a muffin tin here, 12-piece muffin tin, and you just push it in there. Yeah. And then using your hand or a spoon, I've just used my hand. Now you can use a spoon, just make sure you pack it in really well. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it in the oven at 190 degrees, and at 20 minutes, I'm gonna turn up the oven to 215 to 220 and leave it in there just for an extra 10 minutes. But you just keep an eye on it when you put it up. Keep an eye on it, because what you want is for it to look golden brown on top, and you want the sides to look darker, okay? So we'll be back to show you the results. We have finished baking our hash browns, and not only did we finish baking them, but we actually let them cool down, and they look awesome. So I'm gonna just take one out. Now, you're gonna need a spatula we used a spatula to go around it and unstick it. So this is what it's gonna look like. They come out like this. They look awesome. I'm gonna put that on there. I'm gonna try this one. And you could put this in lunch boxes, dip some sauce, put them on the side for your breakfast. Enjoy, see you next time.
Well, we've been talking about friendships today. So
We have.
I guess this is a great opportunity to seek out your friends, let them know how much you appreciate them and build that village, hey? We'll see you next time, bye.